What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Yooper here, coming at you guys with another edition of Job Corps War Stories. Gonna be playing some Helldivers 2. Well, actually, I'm actually already recorded this content. This is from like a little while ago. I just told myself that I was gonna start recording more content and getting back into it just because it has been a long time, and you know, I really want to be able to start getting into the whole idea of content creation again, just because I know that I'm a really small fish in a big pond when it comes to content creation, just because of the inconsistency and all that stuff. But you know, I just want to be able to actually go ahead and do it again, just because for me making content is very fun, even though I do it in a very simple way. But at the same time, you know, everybody has their different shtick, you know what I mean? Like for me, I'm more basic because I'm a basic dude. I'm basic as hell. And anybody that knows me can attest to that. Like, I'm 27 years old, but I'm super uncultured as shit. Maybe it's because I grew up in Upper Michigan, and it's the only people that are crazy enough to live up here are people that are stuck up here because they're born here and their parents live here, or it's just, you know, people that really like snow. I guess I was both of those. But yeah, today I'm just kind of going over some random Job Corps stories that I have from back. I was in Job Corps, and if you guys don't know, also too, Job Corps is put out by the U.S. Department of Labor, and it's a program that was originally designed to help people basically stop being degens, essentially, lack for a better word, at one point in time, and I don't know if it still is or not, but at least the concept is that people from the ages of 16 to 24, if they committed a crime or if they weren't really being a productive member of society, instead of going to jail or juvie or, you know, doing community service or anything like that, depending on the state that you live in or whatever, you would essentially be offered a opportunity to go to Job Corps, which essentially it's a government center. It's basically like if a trade school, a prison, and an actual high school kind of had a baby, just because you're able to get your diploma or your GED if you never got one of those. You can also, depending on the center you go to, get a driver's license, which is what I did because I already had graduated high school by the time I went there. But you also, it's like a trade school because of the fact that you can get a vocational trade. So like the Job Corps center I went to is the Blackwell facility in Leona, Wisconsin, and I did office administration, but they also could do CNA, like certified nursing assistant. You also could do carpentry, masonry, welding, you know, there's a couple of others like construction craft laborers. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but ultimately I got in because I was low income. I was literally homeless right out of high school, you know, doing my own thing. So I ended up qualifying just based off of income, because normally it's either low income or it's, you know, like you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna do Job Corps. So, but ultimately in Job Corps, I got a pretty good story today that I'm gonna do, or I got a couple, because I got up to a bunch of shenanigans, especially because with Job Corps, that was my very first chance, or first opportunity rather, to actually experience different cultures. So like with Job Corps, because this one was ran by the U.S. Forest Service in conjunction with the Department of Labor, a lot of the times in bigger cities they have Job Corps centers. Like there's one in Chicago, but they don't want to take the kids from Chicago that are on the streets, or the, you know, the people involved with gang activity. They don't want to put them in the urban ones, so they want to put them to the closest one that's like a forest service. And literally the Leona one, the Blackwell facility, is in the middle of a national forest up here, the Hiawatha National Forest or something like that. So it's literally around the center is 5 miles of woods with one of the biggest wolf packs in the state of Wisconsin in Forest County, because that's where it is. So no gangbangers from the streets of Chicago are gonna freaking go like 200 miles north to the middle of BFE to try to shoot somebody on a government facility, whereas in Chicago it looks more like a prison because they have to fortify it because of all the shenaniganry, you know what I mean? So So it was my first like real opportunity to actually experience different cultures. Now granted, it was more of the quote-unquote inner city hood culture, you know, which, you know, call it for what it is. I'm a straight shooter. If that's not the way you want to say it, whatever. But it was really a culture shock, because for the first time in my life, you know, with being in Upper Michigan, being surrounded by literally nothing but white people that are super basic, that eat pasties, you know, like, you know, I was actually around people who had flavor and had spice, you know, and it was really scary at first, obviously, for me, like any culture shock. You know, imagine somebody from Japan coming to the United States, never knowing anything about the United States. They just literally get dumped here. It's definitely going to be a culture shock for them. You know, you could do that in any way, but it was just really funny because when you first get to the Blackwell facility, now, like I said, this was from October of 2015 until about May or June of 2016 that I was there. So I was there for about roughly 7 to 8 months, and it was really funny. When I first got there, there's a dorm called D3, which is where all of the new mail inputs, is what they're called, inputs, when you get in there. And you stay there for about 30 to 45 days, and then you go to D4, which is where all of like the normal, like you've been here for a while, and then they had D5. So D5 is where they had the female side of things, because the women, there was more men than women, so they put the women on the right side of D5. And then for people, like for males that were getting close to ending their tenure at the Blackwell facility, or were close to graduating, or for whatever other special reason, they would go to D5. And now D5 was a lot more civilized, I guess, in the sense that there wasn't community bathrooms. Like each room had its own bathroom, and you had only 3 roommates instead of 5. So it was a lot more laid back. So it was kind of like a, you know, kind of a nice thing, honestly. But in D3, there was a guy, and I'll never forget him. And I called him the White Eddie Murphy, even though he was a black dude from Minnesota. But his name was Martin Williams, and he was the D3 president, because there was like a, you know, student council, I guess is the best way to say it, where you had inputs that had like their own personal, like, obviously authorized by the center, but he was the president, so he was kind of like working in conjunction with the RAs to help out with the running of D3. And he was a white guy from Minnesota, so super white voice, but he looked really close to Eddie Murphy, honestly, and he also had a lot of his similar mannerisms and body actions and whatnot. And it was always funny because I was not used to waking up and having like a regimented like schedule. And so what he would do is, if, you know, when we wake up at 7 a.m., like, you got to get your dorm clean, like you got to clean the dorm, you know, very militaristic in that way. And if you were sleeping in, he'd be like, hey, if you don't get up, I'm gonna get in there and tickle you. And I would call this bluff. I was like, there's no fucking way this dude, this grown-ass man, is gonna tickle me when I'm sleeping. And sure as shit, like 5 minutes later, he opens the door and he's like, hey, Yooper, because my nickname was Yooper, and that's how I got my nickname, Yooper, because I was only one of 2 people on center that were from UP. But he's like, hey, Yooper, I'm gonna get in there, I'm gonna tickle your feet if you don't get up. And I'm just like, bullshit, get bent, you know, whatever, like in a playful way. And I went back to sleep, and then I woke up. He snuck into my room. Like, it was crazy because those doors creaked like crazy. He managed to not creak the door. Like, he rolled a natty 20 on his stealth, and I just woke up to him giggling, going tickling my feet. And oh my god, it was straight up, dare I say, the gayest thing I've ever experienced up in my life in that point. And that's in a very fun way, because like, I shot out of bed and I was on the bottom bunk, so my head hit the top bunk, like, or like, you know, the bottom of the top bunk. I was like, I'm up. And ever since then, you know what? I got up because I didn't want my feet tickled. And I straight up witnessed him one time with one of the guys in the dorm that he was a little bit, you know, cooler with, had been there for a while. They were sleeping in, they were really groggy, they didn't want to get up, and so he just straight up got underneath the blanket with them and were like tickling them. And I'm just like, that's a little bit creepy, but it's fucking hilarious to me, at least, because that's some shit that I would do, you know? Like, You know, I'm comfortable with my sexuality. I'm not gay at all by any stretch of the imagination, but with my homies, it's always homosexual. You know what I mean? You gotta act gay with the homies, because are you even really homies? You know what I mean? But it was just funnier than hell. And there was a guy who was in my input as well, like when the class when I went in on October 13th of 2015. He was a Hmong from the Twin Cities, which I found out that there's a lot of Hmong out there in the Twin Cities. So if you're in the Twin Cities, Minnesota, or just Minnesota in general, you're part of a Hmong community. You guys are legit, love ya. But he was kind of stereotypical Asian because he was really obsessed with League of Legends and Dota, specifically Dota, more than League of Legends. But Yi Lang Lee. So somehow, Yi, if you're watching this video, I still remember you, even though it's been 10 years. He was like my little Asian homie brother. But him and I would bullshit all the time, and you know, it was always just kind of funny because he'd be walking around just looking like he's not interested, but as soon as he heard Dota, it was like a freaking robot turn, just, what'd you say about Dota? You want to talk about Dota? So it was pretty funny. But just the cast of characters, I guess you could say, that I was friends with during Job Corps was astronomically hilarious. But I got plenty of stuff that I can talk about down the road about Job Corps and everything, so I'm going to turn this into a little bit of a series like I originally had planned. But I'm going to quit yapping now. But yeah, like I said, that's going to do it for today's video. I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who does support me and follow me and everything, even though that there's very few and far in between. That's perfectly okay with me. If you made it to the end of the video, comment butt cheeks, I guess, in the comment section, because that'll know that I'm actually getting people to watch these videos. But yeah, that's really all I got. I just want to say, obviously, if you guys want to follow me on any kind of social media, links will be in the description down below, and just it's in my link tree. And then also too, if you guys want to support the organization that I own called Veriphy Gaming, obviously go ahead and drop a follow, or you know, go in the link tree that's going to be in the description as well. I'm going to be doing a really big push to the end of the year to try to get 100 subs, just so that way I can go ahead and start to actually put links in the description and stuff like that. So you know, for sure, big push. So if you guys can help me to 100 subs, I would greatly appreciate it. But other than that, like I said, I'm getting long-winded, but hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, stay frosty, my friends. Have a nice day, everybody. Peace.